Kenyan beauty, Ugandan hustler, a forbidden love story in Istanbul. Our story begins with a well-educated young African woman from Kenya named Aisha. She had studied hard back home, but like many, she dreamed of greener pastures. So, when an opportunity came for her to travel to Turkey for work, she grabbed it with both hands. On the plane, Aisha sat by the window, her heart racing as she looked at the clouds below. "So this is it, my new life," she whispered to herself. When the plane touched down at Istanbul airport, her eyes widened. The atmosphere was overwhelming. So many people rushing about, some dragging heavy suitcases, others smoking right outside the terminal. The smell of Turkish cigarettes filled the air. Aisha covered her nose, laughing to herself. Hey, these people can smoke for Africa. The biggest shock, however, was the language. Everywhere she turned, she heard Merhaba, Togoldini's, by run. Aisha tried to follow along, but it was impossible. She muttered under her breath. "Aisha, looks like even buying bread here will need Google Translate." Luckily, she wasn't alone. At the arrivals, she was welcomed by fellow Kenyans, already living in Turkey. They hugged her tightly, speaking in Kiswahili, "Karibu sana, Aisha, welcome to your new home." Weeks later, her little red permit card arrived, making her officially legal in Turkey. With that, Aisha found her first job as a house helper for a wealthy Turkish family. The work was hard but paid decently. Every evening she would clean, cook, and take care of the children, and every half day she would rush back to a rented apartment where she lived with her Kenyan girlfriends. That was her safe space, where they cooked ugali, laughed about Turkish men, and shared stories of survival. Aisha was beautiful, dark-skinned, curvy, and well-endowed. Men noticed her wherever she went, but deep inside she was desperate for real love. And then came Daniel, a tall, charming, handsome Ugandan man. At first glance, he looked like the answer to her prayers. Smooth talker, bright smile, strong arms. But Daniel had a secret. He was crippy, always limping a little, but still moving with confidence. Daniel had once applied for a residence permit too, but unfortunately, he was denied. So he lived in Turkey without proper papers, moving carefully to avoid the authorities. But to Aisha, he was a dream come true. He wooed her, made her laugh, cooked for her when she returned from her house job. She fell head over heels. But as days turned into weeks, cracks began to show. Daniel was sweet only when Aisha was around. The moment she left for work, he changed, entertained other women, flirted, even cheated. Neighbors whispered, "That Ugandan man is enjoying himself too much when the Kenyan lady is away." But Aisha refused to believe. She told herself, "Love covers all. At least I have someone." Money, however, became the biggest issue. Aisha always sent part of her salary back home to Kenya to help her family. The rest she handed over to Daniel. He convinced her, "My love, we are building a future together. Just trust me." And she did. She gave him everything, both her heart and her money. But then, the twist arrived. The Turkish government began cracking down on foreigners without residence permits. Police were everywhere, carrying out sudden raids in apartments, workplaces, and even in the streets. Fear swept through the African community in Turkey. Those without documents were being arrested and deported overnight. Aisha, safe with her residence permit, lived carefully. But Daniel wasn't so lucky. One evening, as he went out to meet friends, the authorities pounced. There was no escape. He was dragged into a police van, along with many others. For Aisha, the news hit like thunder. The man she loved, the man she trusted, had been taken away. But the scandal didn't end there. As Aisha rushed to ask about his arrest, she discovered shocking truths. Daniel had not only been cheating with multiple women, he had secretly been living with another woman in a different part of Istanbul. The money Aisha had been giving him, he was spending on flashy clothes, drinks, and gifts for his other lovers. Her friends confronted her. "Aisha, we warned you. That man was no good." But she just sat in silence, torn between heartbreak and embarrassment. How could she explain to her family back home that the money she worked so hard for had been wasted on a lying man? And yet, this was not the end of her story. The arrest of Daniel marked only the beginning of a bigger drama. With him gone, Aisha's life was about to take a whole new direction filled with secrets, opportunities, and even more scandal than before. What happened next? You will find out in the next episode. **** to be continued.